Imagine you're alone at home on a quiet evening. The lights are dim, a gentle breeze rattles the windows, and suddenly, there's a knock at the door. You peek through the peephole and see two children, heads down, wearing simple, nondescript clothing. They claim they're lost or need help. Something about their voices is unsettling, flat, emotionless. Against your better judgment, you crack the door open. That's when you notice their eyes. Two dark pools, completely black, staring blankly back at you. Welcome to the chilling urban legend of the black-eyed children, a phenomenon that has sparked equal measures of terror and curiosity across the internet for decades. Stay with me until the end as we explore spine-tingling first-hand accounts, possible origins of this modern myth, and the lingering mystery of who or what these children with inky black eyes really are. The earliest known account of black-eyed children supposedly dates back to 1996, when journalist Brian Bethel posted a hair-raising story to an internet forum. According to Bethel, he was sitting in his car in Abilene, Texas one night, writing a check. Suddenly, two kids approached, knocking on his window. They said they wanted a ride to the local theater, but something about them felt off. Bethel described an overwhelming sense of dread that he couldn't rationalize. He was inexplicably terrified. When he finally looked closer, he noticed their eyes were solid black. No whites, no iris, just pure darkness. He sped away, heart pounding. Afterward, he shared his experience online, expecting skepticism. Instead, his story ignited an entire subculture of reports and sightings, fueling one of the internet's most enduring urban legends. While Bethel's tale remains unverified, it inspired countless others to come forward with eerily similar encounters. Midnight knocks on the door, pleas for help, and eyes that reflect no light. Black-eyed children, sometimes abbreviated as BEC, are described as ages ranging from 6 to 16 years old, typically wearing drab, old-fashioned, or out-of-place clothing, a hooded sweatshirt, a worn-out dress, or sometimes just normal attire that looks a bit dated, pale or sickly-looking, with an unnerving calmness. Always asking for something mundane, a ride home, to use the phone, or to come inside just for a moment. When you look them in the eye, you realize they have entirely black eyeballs. No iris, no sclera, just inky black. People who claim to have met these children often speak of an intense fear or panic that washes over them. This fear is sometimes described as an almost supernatural compulsion to get away. Reports note that if you refuse the children's request, they become persistent, angry, or even menacing. Yet in most stories, the children simply vanish if the person resists long enough. Unlike many urban legends that revolve around violence or gore, the BEC phenomenon focuses on psychological horror, a creeping, indescribable dread. Witnesses often say the experience left them shaken for days or even years afterward. If you survey the countless stories posted on forums, subreddits, and personal blogs, certain patterns emerge. Late-night doorstep visits. You're home alone or working a night shift at a remote location. You hear a knock. A child or pair of children stands there, heads bowed, quietly asking to come in. They often say something like, "We need to call our parents," or "We're lost and need shelter." Car encounters. Similar to Brian Bethel's account, you're in a car, maybe at a parking lot or gas station, when a small figure appears outside your window. They ask, "Can you give me a ride?" Or, "I'm waiting for my mom. Can I sit with you?" Weirdly polite but firm. The children speak in a strangely formal manner, or use phrases that feel out of date. Their voices are oddly monotone. If you refuse, they grow more insistent, sometimes repeating, "We can't come in unless you say it's okay." This detail leads many to compare them to vampire lore, where they must be invited before they can cross a threshold. What happens if you do let them in? Accounts vary. Some people say the children disappear the moment they step inside, leaving behind an overwhelming sense of terror. Others claim that misfortunes or illnesses soon follow. The line between fact and fiction is murky, but these stories persist, fueling speculation that something malevolent is hidden behind those black eyes. Every legend has a beginning, and the black-eyed children myth is no different. Researchers have proposed various theories. Classic vampiric lore. Many older cultures have tales of vampires needing permission to enter a home. The BEC's pleas for entry mirror this concept. Their black eyes could symbolize demonic or undead influences. Extraterrestrial or hybrid children. UFO enthusiasts speculate that BEC might be alien-human hybrids, their eyes signifying an otherworldly physiology. Some stories tie them to strange lights in the sky or missing time episodes. Lost souls or ghostly entities. Others link the children to ghost stories, where restless spirits appear at doorsteps seeking help. The black eyes symbolize a spiritual void or the absence of a human soul. Modern urban legend. Skeptics argue it's a purely internet-age phenomenon. Brian Bethel's story went viral in early chat rooms, inspiring copycat accounts. Over time, the legend grew thanks to online forums, creepypastas, and horror blogs. In many ways, the Beck phenomenon is a reflection of modern fears. Strangers at the door late at night, the uncanny valley of children acting unnaturally, and the dread of being trapped in a situation where your instincts scream danger, but social norms make you hesitate. The internet overflows with alleged encounters, each with its own twist. Although authenticity is hotly debated, these stories share a common thread of creeping unease. Here are two distilled examples. The Traveler's Motel. A woman traveling alone stopped at a remote motel late at night. She was awakened by a soft knock on her door around 2 a.m. Peering through the peephole, she saw a small child holding a teddy bear. The child asked if she could come inside and use the bathroom. Feeling unnerved, the woman asked where her parents were. The child kept repeating in a monotone, "Please let me in. I can't come in unless you say yes." Alarm bells ringing, the woman refused. Moments later, she glanced back through the peephole. The child tilted its head up, revealing solid black eyes, then simply vanished. The Deserted Highway. A truck driver pulled over at a rest stop just before dawn. He noticed two kids standing by the entrance, shivering in old-looking clothes. They approached his truck, silently motioning for him to roll down the window. When he did, they whispered, "We're cold. Can you drive us home?" The driver's hair stood on end. Something about their voices felt unearthly. He drove off without another word. Checking his side mirrors, he saw them still standing, only now their eyes were completely black, reflecting no light from his truck's headlights. While these stories lack verifiable documentation, they capture the claustrophobic fear that defines black-eyed children sightings. Amidst the chilling tales, many ask, is there a logical explanation behind these sightings? Pranksters or hoaxes? Some sightings might be the work of teenagers wearing black contact lenses, readily available at costume shops. They knock on doors for thrills, feeding the urban legend. Pareidolia or low-light conditions. In dim conditions, normal eyes can appear darker, particularly if a person has dilated pupils. Anxiety or fear could heighten the witness's perception. Psychological projection. Fear can amplify minor details, like shadows on the face, leading the brain to interpret normal eyes as fully black. Stress or prior knowledge of the myth can influence how we recall events. Mass hysteria and the internet. The internet can propagate collective delusions or illusions. When one scary story gains traction, it spawns imitations, each fueling the next wave of belief. It's entirely possible that the BEC phenomenon is a modern myth woven from primal fears: fear of the unknown, fear of manipulative strangers, and fear that something malevolent might present itself in an innocent guise. The black-eyed children legend has leapt from internet threads to mainstream media. They've inspired horror films, TV episodes, and short stories. Popular shows like Paranormal Witness and Monsters and Mysteries in America have dedicated entire segments to alleged BEC encounters, featuring dramatic reenactments that further embed the trope in pop culture. In many modern horror stories, the concept of black, featureless eyes has become shorthand for malevolent entities. This aesthetic also appears in demonic possession films and other supernatural narratives. Some authors link the BEC phenomenon to ancient demonic lore, while others see them as a new face on timeless cautionary tales, reminding us that innocence can be deceiving. Virtually every BEC story hinges on a single question: what happens if you let them in? In many accounts, the children become angry if denied. Witnesses claim an overwhelming sense that letting them enter would be catastrophic. Some stories describe terrifying consequences: electrical malfunctions, nightmares or extreme illnesses, disappearances of pets or personal belongings. However, verifiable evidence is non-existent. More often, it's the implied threat that leaves people trembling. The request for invitation resonates with old vampire lore, suggesting crossing a threshold grants them power. Whether it's purely symbolic or something darker, the recurring theme is universal. Letting these children inside feels like an irreversible mistake. It's important to note that no credible documentation of the black-eyed children phenomenon exists outside of personal testimony and online stories. Journalists, skeptics, and paranormal investigators have pointed out inconsistencies, debunking many sensational claims. No police records. Despite the alleged frequency of sightings, there are no official law enforcement reports that confirm any crimes or missing person cases linked to BEC. Varying descriptions. Some stories say the children's clothes are modern, others say they're Victorian. Some mention an adult caretaker lurking in the background, others don't. The lack of uniformity leads critics to argue these stories are purely fictional. Viral Creepypasta. The explosion of BEC tales coincides with the rise of creepypasta culture, where eerie stories spread virally with no fact-checking. Still, the legend endures, precisely because it thrives on personal testimony rather than hard evidence, just like many classic urban legends. Why do we find the idea of black-eyed children so unsettling? Psychology offers a few insights. The uncanny valley. We're biologically hardwired to be disturbed by almost human appearances. Children with black eyes fit this category, as they look human but wrong in a subtle, primal way. Fear of the innocent corrupted. Children represent purity and vulnerability. Twisting that image into something predatory strikes a deep chord of horror. Suspense versus gore. BEC stories rely on tension and unease rather than explicit violence. This slow burn style can be more psychologically disturbing, leaving our imagination to fill in the worst-case scenarios. Safe exploration of fear. Sharing ghost stories or urban legends is a time-honored way to experience fear in a controlled environment. The more we talk about BEC, the more the legend grows, feeding our collective appetite for the eerie and unexplained. Every few months, a new thread pops up on Reddit or a paranormal forum, recounting a late-night knock and unsettling black eyes. Investigative journalists sometimes chase down these leads, but they often hit a dead end: fake profiles, contradictory details, no corroborating witnesses. Podcasts dedicated to paranormal research often feature BEC stories, with hosts analyzing voice recordings or expert testimonies. Yet these remain anecdotal. Despite the inconclusive nature of the evidence, the phenomenon persists, suggesting that black-eyed children have transcended mere online chatter to become part of contemporary folklore. Could it be that some experiences are genuine, perhaps misinterpreted glimpses of real people in distress or playing pranks? Or are these stories purely imaginative creations, each iteration layering myth upon myth? The lack of definitive answers fuels the legend's longevity, inviting endless debate. Whether you view the black-eyed children as malevolent supernatural entities, alien hybrids, or simply the product of overactive imaginations, their story offers a fascinating insight into modern folklore. Rooted in primal fears, strangers at the door, innocence corrupted, the phenomenon resonates across generations. It reminds us that in a world so often explained by science and technology, there's still room for mysteries that defy simple answers. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of the most unsettling urban legends of our age. If this exploration kept you intrigued, consider liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications for more content on unexplained stories, strange phenomena, and dark tales from around the globe. What do you think of the black-eyed children? Harmless myth, elaborate hoax, or something far more sinister? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And remember, if you ever hear a knock on your door late at night, you might want to think twice before letting those little visitors in.